Talking Trees with Lily and Jad. Welcome to Talking Trees. This is a sneak peek into our new podcast series, where Lily and Jad will explore all things arboriculture, trees, and the green spaces that connect us. Our first full episode will air on December 1st, but we couldn't wait to share this urgent news with you. We kick off with an exciting and urgent announcement. The European Arboricultural Council, EAC, has opened its prestigious research grant scheme. In this special episode, Lily and Jad discuss the grant details, including eligibility criteria, application tips, and the types of projects that align with the EAC's mission to foster sustainable arboriculture, improve tree health, and develop innovative techniques. Tune in to learn more about this valuable opportunity and to get a taste of the insightful, tree-focused conversations that Talking Trees will bring to listeners.
Hey, tree fans. You won't believe this, we have a pretty amazing opportunity to talk about today. It's a chance to be a part of cutting-edge arboriculture research.
Oh, wow. I'm definitely interested. What did you find?
Well, the European Arboricultural Council,
The EAC?
the EAC, they just opened applications for their R&D grant scheme. We're talking a grant, potentially €10,000, to make a real difference for trees. Can you imagine getting that for your research?
That would be incredible. It's like they're saying, come help us shape the future of tree care. The whole mission of the EAC is to foster innovation in arboriculture, to connect the theory with the boots on the ground.
Exactly. To give everyone an idea of what's possible, maybe we can look at the winners from last year.
There was one focused on managing sooty bark disease in maples, which is a huge threat.
Oh, I've been reading about that. It's scary how much damage it can do.
Yeah, it's a serious problem. But what's so cool is how this research is a direct attack on that threat.
Okay, interesting. What was the other one?
Well, the other project was all about veteranization, basically figuring out how to help young trees develop the characteristics of those old veteran trees, which is so important for biodiversity.
So one project is about tackling a threat. The other one's about enriching our ecosystems. Very different approaches, but both are critical to having healthy trees in the long run.
It really shows just how broad the possibilities are with this grant scheme. It reflects the real diversity of challenges and of opportunities in arboriculture today.
Okay, so let's get into some of the details.
The EAC just announced that applications for the 2025 grant cycle are going to open in January. Yeah.
That's right around the corner. So if you're thinking about applying, you got to start getting your ideas together now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any idea what the focus is going to be for the 2025 cycle?
They haven't said yet,
Okay.
which is actually good news. Means they're open to all sorts of proposals.
Okay.
As long as it has to do with advancing arboriculture,
Yeah.
research and practice.
So if you're into tree biomechanics, urban forestry, pest management, whatever, there's probably a place for you.
Exactly. They're looking for innovation, rigor, and impact.
Yeah.
They want to see projects that are asking the right questions, using the right tools, and ultimately helping our trees to be healthier and more resilient, more diverse.
And the EAC is really transparent about how they choose the winners, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. They have really clear guidelines.
Okay.
So applicants know exactly what the judges are looking for.
Look,
And they even have this pre-proposal consultation service.
what's that?
So if you're not sure if your project is a good fit,
Okay.
you can send them a quick outline and they'll give you feedback before you spend all that time on the full application.
That's awesome.
It is.
Takes the guesswork out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, and one more thing. If you're thinking of applying,
Yeah?
don't forget to collaborate.
Okay.
Reach out to your colleagues, researchers,
Hmm.
other organizations who might have, expertise that you don't have.
Okay.
The most successful projects usually involve partnerships.
Right. So you're bringing in different perspectives,
Exactly.
different skills.
Yeah, it's all about building those bridges.
How much are these grants and what's the timeline looking like?
There are 2 grants available, each worth €10,000. And it sounds like the EAC wants a lot of different kinds of people to apply, too.
Yeah, they're looking for people from all walks of arboriculture. It's not just limited to academics or large institutions.
You could have self-employed arborists, students, companies, nonprofits, research institutions, all eligible.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It really opens the door for anyone who has a great idea and wants to make a real difference. I'm sure there's some rules, though. What makes someone eligible?
Sure, there are a few things, like you can't apply if you're under 18.
Right, that makes sense.
And also, if you already have an ongoing EAC-funded project, you have to wait until it's finished to apply for another one.
Okay, so that keeps things fair And gives everyone a shot. You mentioned something about scoring before. What was that about?
Oh, right. If you applied last year and your proposal got a score lower than 60%, you can't apply this time.
So they want to ensure a high quality of research? I get it.
Exactly.
I wonder what kind of feedback people who didn't make the cut get.
I'm not sure, actually. Maybe we should look into that on the EAC website.
Good idea. Speaking of which, we should tell our listeners to check out the website. It has all the info on the grant scheme, the application process, even tips on writing a successful proposal. We'll put the link in the show notes.
It's a really great resource, even if you're not planning to apply. Just skimming their guidelines will give you a sense of what's happening in the world of arboriculture research today.
It's a window into the cutting edge, so even if you don't apply, you're still getting a pretty good deep dive into arboriculture.
So the application itself is actually pretty user-friendly, but there are definitely some sections that need more attention than others.
And that's what I always find fascinating. Like, you can have the most brilliant idea in the world, but if you don't know how to explain it to the people reviewing these applications.
Yeah, that's the key. And luckily, the EAC gives everyone a template to help them structure their proposal. I think one of the most crucial sections is the project description. This is where you really have to make your case. What's the problem you're trying to solve? What makes it so important? And how will your research contribute to finding a solution?
So it can't be just, oh, I want to study this cool thing about trees.
Definitely not. You have to connect your idea to the bigger picture. How will it affect tree health? What about sustainability? What does it mean for the future of arboriculture?
I see. So the reviewers are looking for proposals that really show a deep understanding of how this research could make a difference and how it fits into the overall goals of the EAC.
Exactly. Now, what about the methodology section? That's where things can get a bit tricky, right?
Yeah, I bet it gets pretty technical.
It can, but the main thing is, to be clear, you need to explain your research plan in a way that the reviewers can easily grasp, even if they're not specialists in your specific field.
So avoid using too much jargon and keep the language simple and straightforward when you're describing the steps you'll take in your research.
Right, and visuals can be really helpful too. Think charts, diagrams, anything that helps get your research plan across more effectively.
Makes sense. A picture's worth 1,000 words, especially with complex research. So what about the expected outcomes? How specific do you need to be there?
Well, this is where you paint a picture of success. What are the tangible results you anticipate? Will you discover new knowledge or create new tools? Ask yourself, if your research is successful, what will change? What will be the concrete impact?
I like that. That's a great way to approach it. And of course, you can't forget the budget and timeline, right?
Definitely not. No matter how amazing the research is, it has to be doable with the time and money available. The EAC wants to see that you've thought carefully about how you'll use that €10,000 and that your plan is realistic within the given time frame.
So no overly ambitious plans with impossible goals and budgets that are way too big.
A little ambition is good, sure, but it's got to be realistic too.
So just to recap, this is an amazing opportunity for anyone who cares about trees and research. The EAC R&D grant scheme is open to all kinds of people, and even though the application process is pretty rigorous, they do offer a lot of support along the way.
It's all about pushing the boundaries of what we know and working towards a healthier future for trees.
It really is.
Yeah.
And now that we've talked about how to apply, I'm curious about what happens next. Like, what's the process like for reviewing all these proposals?
So once the proposals are in, they go through a very thorough review. The EAC has a whole panel of experts from different areas of arboriculture who look at every single submission.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and they're looking for proposals that are well-researched, innovative, and that have a real chance of making a difference.
It seems like they have a really good system for ensuring that the money goes to the best research projects possible. What happens if someone's proposal isn't selected?
Even if a proposal doesn't get funding, the feedback from the review panel can be incredibly valuable.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it can help researchers strengthen their research plan, refine their ideas, and maybe even realize that there's a different direction they could go in.
So it's not a failure, it's more like a learning opportunity.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a great way to look at it. So for those who do get selected, that's when the real excitement begins, right?
Absolutely. Time to put those research plans into action.
I bet that's an incredible feeling. Does the EAC provide any support once the grant has been awarded?
Oh, yeah, definitely. They offer guidance and resources to the people they've given grants to throughout the entire research process.
So they're there every step of the way.
Right. They even create opportunities for researchers to connect with others who are working in similar areas, so there's a real sense of community and collaboration.
So it's not like they just hand you the money and say good luck. It sounds like they're really invested in the success of these projects and want to see them through.
Absolutely. And then at the end of the grant period, the researchers have to submit a final report that summarizes their findings, any challenges they faced, and the overall impact of their research.
So it's a way of keeping everyone accountable and making sure that the knowledge gained is shared with the wider arboriculture community, right?
Exactly. And the EAC often publishes summaries of these final reports on their website so that everyone can learn from the research.
That's fantastic because it means that even if you're not directly involved in the research, you can still benefit from the results.
Right. Everyone wins.
Yeah. Yeah, just looking at last year's winners, I think gives you a pretty good idea of the caliber of research that the EAC is looking to support.
Exactly. So one of the winning projects focused on management and dispersal of sooty bark disease of maple. Now, I know that this is a growing concern, but what makes studying this disease so complex? What specific challenges might these researchers be tackling?
Well, sooty bark disease is tricky because it's caused by a fungus that's spread by a beetle. So you're dealing with the interaction of two different organisms, which, adds a whole other layer of complexity to understanding the disease's life cycle and how to effectively manage it.
Yeah.
And it also often, only shows symptoms in the later stages, which makes early detection and intervention very difficult.
Oh, so it's like a detective story.
Yeah.
Trying to piece together the clues and,
Exactly.
stop the spread.
Exactly.
Now, the other winning project was on veteranization.
Yes.
And this one kind of caught my eye right away.
Yeah, it's a fascinating topic.
It is. They're evaluating the potential of artificially creating microhabitats in young trees.
Right. Well, in many parts of Europe, we've lost so many ancient trees. And, these ancient trees, they provide vital habitats.
Right.
And because of that loss, there's a real shortage of these habitats. And so this veteranization aims to kind of accelerate that process.
So you're trying to give a boost to biodiversity.
Exactly.
So they're trying to create those nooks and crannies that insects and fungi love.
Yes.
But in a fraction of the time.
Yeah, exactly.
It's amazing to think that somewhere in Europe right now, there's a researcher with a groundbreaking idea that could, change how we care for trees.
Yeah.
For generations to come. And thanks to the EAC, that idea could become a reality.
It really could.
I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on the EAC website to see which projects get selected for funding this year.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
It's exciting to think about the potential breakthroughs that might emerge from these grants.
Yeah.
Who knows what the future holds for arboriculture?
Yeah. I think it's time for us to wrap up this deep dive into European arboriculture research.
My pleasure.
Likewise. To our listeners, thanks for joining us. We hope you found it as enlightening as we did. And remember, if you have a groundbreaking idea, the EAC wants to hear from you. Don't miss this chance to make a difference.
Thanks for tuning in. If you're passionate about trees and arboriculture, don't miss our brand new podcast, Talking Trees, with hosts Lily and Jad. Starting December 1st, catch each episode wherever you listen to podcasts. See you there.